Hello and welcome to Limited Adhesion GT3 League. Tonight we're at Sebring in America and we've got a special guest tonight in the form of Jake from the Oval Division. How are you tonight, Jake?
I'm doing alright. How about yourself?
Yeah, keeping well. Great to have you on board, and obviously a familiar voice from the Oval Division, quite suitably at an American track as well. Have you raced at this Sebring track before?
I have, and I've had good races and I've had not so good races. So,
a bit of a mixed bag. It's a track that's used quite commonly in the GT3s, and of course iRacing has the 12 hours of Sebring as part of their kind of endurance race calendar. As we skip to the championship standings in the top split, Ollie Walker out on 196 points. Evan Concepcion, who we talked about last time, is chasing him down on 183, so it looks like those two are going to be duking it out in the final stages of the season. David Lyne, who's racing today, on 148, and Stephen Maxwell on 125. Don Parker returns tonight. He's on 112 points, with Ollie Ettridge, Mark Innes, Stephen Greening, Dan Shaw and Rob Miller rounding out the top 10. So yeah, still a couple of places to play for in the top split.
Yeah, Parker ran quite strongly when we were at Bathurst.
Yeah, and again, I think endurance is kind of his domain, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares tonight. I suspect it will be quite a strong showing from Don. In the clubbers, Club 1500, Damon Mitchell on 204 points ahead of Mark Zeff on 195, so likewise it's going to be a two-man fight to the finish between those two. And it's going to be interesting. There's hardly anything to compare between those two. Dan Hill and Simon Garau on third and fourth places respectively, so again those two, I don't think Simon's going to be appearing tonight, but Dan Hill certainly will be on the grid. Chris White, Steve Pepper, Rich Mises, Stu Gerber, James Pepper and Joe Barlow round out the top 10 there. I believe we're going to have Lewis McManaman, possibly Darryl Klotz and Jake Weaver also make an appearance tonight as well, so that's great to have some of those guys now starting to make regular appearances on the GT3s again. The championship... sorry, Jake. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
The championship standings in the top split, 4X Racing well out in front. I think that's a lost cause for Alpha Esports and the A-Team to kind of chase them down, but A-Team, if Rob Miller makes a return, they might overtake Alpha Esports. And the Club 1500 championship standings will be appearing just in a moment, and I think it is going to be a DSR 1-2 if I'm not mistaken. In fact, they are the DSR cars in the foreground. So yes, DSR Orange 280 points and DSR White on 251. 722 Motorsport, that's Dan Hill and Joe Barlow on 181 points. I think they're pretty much cemented third place, as Progredo F it only consists of Simon Grau, who won't be racing tonight. So yeah, that rounds out the championship standings. Any favourites for tonight out of the drivers you think are going to be appearing?
If this was an oval race, I would have to pick either Klotz or Weaver, but you know I know them too, so
yeah, absolutely. And as you can see from the qualifying, Ollie Walker in front with a 159.6. Evan Concepcion a couple of tenths behind. As suspected that those two will be out in front. David Lyne not too far behind as well, and Stephen Maxwell, who are also an American. He might know the track pretty well, I suspect. Don Parker there, so it looks like we've only got 5 or 6 top splitters and around about 11 or so clubbers. So Damon Mitchell taking the pole position there, and Mark Zeff followed by Jeff Hancock. Jeff Hancock's we haven't seen for a while. Great to have him back. I guess the load shedding starting to come down now from South Africa, so we'll hopefully get the likes of Stephen Kernick and Jan Pruis back as well. Of course, we thoroughly miss those guys racing with us.
I'm actually kind of surprised at how small the top split field is tonight.
Yeah, possibly they've taken part in the endurance race and just got sick of it, to be honest. But yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them. 12 hours and then another 2 hours on top. Yeah, I wouldn't fancy that too much. Alright, so yeah, it is indeed only 5 cars from the top split, but we do have a healthy amount of clubbers, including Sam Stott. I just spotted in the standings as Ollie Walker gets us underway. This is a 2-hour endurance race at Sebring, and they start to get into single file there. You see the front of the clubbers all battling for position, so we'll see who, once they get round the corner, who's going to take pole position.
This is Stott's first race of the season, isn't it?
It is indeed. Sam, we have seen him in the Lotus 79, I believe, but this is his first in terms of the GT3, so we'll see how he compares. Maybe a little bit rusty, a little bit ring rust, but we'll see if he can climb up the standings. He's in 6th position at the moment. Already starting to build a gap between Line and Parker, so those front three have really shot off as Maxwell makes a move down the inside of Parker. And this is the duel we're talking about. This is going to be Zeph and Damon Mitchell duking it out for first place in the Club 1500, with Dan Hill, who's in 3rd place at the moment in the standings as well. So he's just carefully, yeah. I think that's a wise decision, isn't it, Jake? Just to sit behind and let these guys possibly make a mistake. Oh, yeah, wow. That's Mark Zeff spinning round, clips the barrier. And that looks like the rest of the field is going to pass by. It didn't look like he got too much damage, did it?
No, just a small bounce. He's got 2 hours, so I would just collect myself and carry on.
Yeah, hopefully nothing too terminal. Hopefully a trip to the pit's not needed. I noticed one of the Peppers is in the pits, whether they started or not, or just didn't make the start at all. It looks like they didn't. So, going through, that's Ollie Walker. This is an iconic part of the track. It's can be quite misjudged, kind of. It's a huge hairpin. Ollie Walker in 1st position after lap 1, followed by Concepcion in line, Maxwell and Parker. And there's the clubbers trailing in, Mitchell in 1st ahead of Hill, White, Stott, Weaver, Hancock's, Klotz, Barlow and McManaman. Just far in the background as Zeff's managed to recover. That's Jeff Hancock's gone really wide. He tried to make a move on Weaver, but I think Weaver had it fairly well covered. Hancock's got the braking point a little bit off-piste.
Yeah, these cars are still cold.
Yeah, cold tyres indeed, yeah. And speaking of cold tyres, something happened to Evan Concepcion from the top split, so he's might get a replay of that to see what happened. It looks like he went off track. I guess you know a little bit better about this track, Jake, how the cars might have some difficulties going across the kind of curbing here. Might offshoot a little bit.
I've taken both the Porsche and the BMW around this place. I actually prefer the BMW, and the first couple of laps when these cars are cold, they do like to, the rear end likes to come out on you, especially with how rough the track is.
Yeah, so that's especially with the Audi and Lamborghini, they tend to be quite tail happy, so that might have happened to Evan. And Sam Stott's managed to work his way up to 4th place, so certainly got his foot down on the accelerator so far. David Lyne in 2nd place. So Ollie Walker's managed to build a little bit of a gap now due to that error from Evan. I suspect Maxwell will be keen to make a move on Lyne. I've got a suspicion that Maxwell may know this track quite well. As we see Sam Stott make a move down the inside of White. And they're going to try and battle out. White went slightly wide. Might have the pace coming back on the home straight. So Mitchell setting the fastest lap of the clubbers so far. This is Jeff Hancock's trying to... It's round 2 between Weaver and Hancock's here, and it looks like he has got the braking point correct this time. I don't think Weaver was really going to battle that. I think he knows it's a long game here.
He's usually pretty conservative around the GT3 division.
Yeah, I don't really recall him getting in too many incidents from the previous seasons. I think he's a little bit unfortunate with Bathurst, wasn't he? And yeah, quite a clean driver, dependable anyway, for sure. This is Sam Stott, and looks like Evans might be getting a little bit frustrated getting held behind the covers. He just needs to bide his time and pick a point. It's probably going to be coming out of the hairpin. That's a vital part of the track, getting a good run out of there. This midsection is quite tight for these cars. One thing I've noticed, Jake, is the view on the track is a lot different in these cars compared to if you're in a open wheeler. It just seems like a totally different track.
A little less visibility?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, first time I've went around this track in GT3s, and just it looked completely different. And this is Sam Stott. Looks like he was going to defend there from Evan, but perhaps he's doesn't know that Evan's in the top split.
I've tried to run open wheel cars, and I just can't get into them for some reason. I don't really know why.
Does that include the Indy cars as well, or do you kind of keep them for oval driving in?
Yeah, even the Indy cars, but I'll take those out on a track more than I will the road course open wheelers. But even the NASCAR modifieds, I don't really care that much for.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I can't say I've driven the Indy cars too much, but yeah, we might move on to those at some point. Have a series if participation allows. This is Stephen Maxwell here, right on the tail. David Line, Willie. Lines went defensive here, so he knows that Maxwell is possibly a little bit faster. Does the right thing, just covers him off. This is going to be great viewing for Don Parker, who's got a grandstand seat here.
And you might want to give these two a little bit of space when they start battling. He might get two freebies out of it if things get chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely right, Jake. We've seen that all too many times. Yeah, there's a viewpoint from Dom's perspective.
He's got a good seat.
Yeah. Slight oversteering from the car of Maxwell. He must be pushing it quite hard. And surely Evans going to try and get a run out of that corner to get past Stott. Possibly, I think Klotz has dropped a couple of positions. He's lost places to Zeph and Joe Barlow there. Interestingly, we're going to see a replay. This is that's Mitchell and Zeph coming together, just going for the same little bit of real estate. Not too much space for these BMWs to get past.
Mercedes and the BMW are both chunky cars.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah, and this is what happened to Mark Zeph. I guess he just on cold tires got onto the edge of the curbing. I mean, it was well defended there by Damon, but turns to left.
Oh,
yeah. Too much curb on cold tires. A little bit of oversteer. He held it well there, but just on the power too early.
The car seemed to have been settled, so I mean I don't really blame him for getting back on the throttle at that point, but
yeah, this is Evan. Too much curb and just unsettled the car.
That had to have been some damage there.
Yeah, but miraculously it might not be steering damage because he seems to have coped fine so far. See how it straightens out. I think his mechanics won't be too impressed with that. Wow, that was how Sam. Yeah, that was how Sam got in front. Huge correction there from Evan. Kept in one piece though, at least for the time being, before yeah, a lot of action early on. It's great to see. Only 10 minutes into the race so far and already some sweet overtakes. As we see Maxwell and Don Parker closing up together. So it looks like Lines managed to break away slightly.
And Walker's gap was just increasing.
Yeah, as these three kind of almost scare each other by putting themselves in the mirrors, it slows them down a little bit.
Concepcion is making a recovery drive because he's only got one clubber in front of him now.
Oh yeah, that's a good spot. He's only got Mitchell to get ahead. So Concepcion has got ahead of Sam Stott.
Even Hancock's, he's made his way up to 4th.
Yeah, it's a really good effort, and Mark Zeff has managed to work his way back as well from that spin. Dan Hill's dropped a little bit, so something must have happened to Dan Hill. He was in 3rd position, now dropped to 7th. Speaking of Jeff Hancock's, here he is. He's behind White. So the Team Try Hard representative. It's nice to have him back.
Yeah, looks like he's going to start putting pressure on White here, and Zeff isn't too far behind these two.
Yeah, and if those two start battling, yeah, Zeff is definitely on pace a lot quicker than those two, so he'll be hoping for them to start battling. White might have got a slowdown, judging by the position of his car, or just decided to let them pass, knowing that they're faster. This is Don Parker right on the tail of Maxwell. He's just closing in and just trying to give a little bit of a peek, saying to Steve, I'm there. If you make a slight error, I'm going to be going on through.
I'm going to have to give props to both of these guys. Parker for being patient, and Maxwell dealing with the pressure he's been being given this whole time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot of pressure to take when you know there's someone right behind you. That's Lewis McMahon going slow, and we did see Jeff Hancock losing a couple of positions there. Whoa, that's Jake Weaver going over steering around. That looks like the penultimate corner. At least he's kept out of the wall. We've seen the cars in the past hit that wall, and it's not good for an endurance race to lose your quick repair so early. Don's really on the hunt here. He's looking at
just talking about how patient he's been doing, and now he's sticking his nose in there.
Yeah, so he must have been preempted that commentator's comment.
Yeah.
Damon Mitchell from the clubbers well out in front. So he's joining in that small battle. But Damon Mitchell really got some pace if you can keep up with these guys. He's got front row tickets to this fight. Wow, this looks like Dom may have the run here. He's got the inside. He just needs to plant it on the apex. Damon Mitchell being very brave on the brakes and actually taking advantage of that situation and got ahead of Maxwell.
Oh, he was going to get both of them there for a moment.
It almost looked like it, yeah. At the sunset bend. Line sent his fastest lap is into 201s as that fuel tank starts to lower. So the standings at the moment, as we reach 15 minutes through the 2-hour endurance race, is in the top split is Walker, Line, Parker, Maxwell and Concepcion, and in the Club 1500 split. It's Mitchell Zeff has worked his way up to second, ahead of Stott, White, Hancock's, Klotz, Barlow, Hill, McManaman, Weaver. So steady going there on the bottom half of the clubbers as well. McManaman just setting his fastest lap at 2:03.2.
Showing that Pepper is out. Did he start the race? Because you commented on him being in the pits earlier.
Yeah, I suspect he's possibly just missed the start for whatever reason. Maybe his connection dropped out, which does happen from time to time in iRacing service. We've seen that. Yeah, that was a slow lap from Weaver, so obviously that affected his run up from the start finish straight. Got some work to do, but it is, as you said, a very long race. Don Parker now in third position. He's got a bit of breathing space to go try catch up to David Lyne. David Lyne's a bit in no man's land given the gap to Walker. That was a very wide line
close.
from Parker. Yeah, that was really close. This is
Parker's also got some clean air now, so he's not stuck behind. I say stuck, but he's not behind Maxwell anymore. So he's got a little bit of open track.
Yeah, as you say that, as it comes together between Sam Stott and Jeff Hancock's at the Sunset Bend. I think that's quite easy to do because there's various kind of lines you can take through there.
Yeah, and it's not the smoothest part of the track either.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing we've heard drivers say is that it is quite bumpy. And Sam on. Yeah, a lot of heat generated into the rear tyres, and that's not going to help.
No.
Yeah, but as you were just saying before there, yeah, Parker can now try and work his way up to line if he's got the pace. Do you think it's difficult for a driver if they're out on their own with no one to work with to kind of keep setting regular lap times, or do you think the pressure's off then? They know what to kind of get the job done?
Sometimes, if you're by yourself, you can kind of get into your own rhythm and put down some consistent laps, and other times it's nice to have a car to follow. I don't think being the lead car is fun sometimes because you're worried about what's behind you, but yeah, I would say if I had to choose, I would either prefer to be by myself or following.
Yeah, I think I guess it's dependent on your character and your confidence, but I think I'm definitely in that same boat as well. I probably wouldn't want to be right out the front with someone bearing down on me. I'd rather just let them pass. As we see, yeah, that was Maxwell coming out slightly wide. He did keep it off the grass, which is the main thing. But Dom just taking advantage of that. Yeah, this is a great move from David Mitchell. Maybe not from Maxwell's perspective, but if Mitchell can keep the pace here, then why not? Go for
I
it.
think if Dom was a little bit wider through there, he would have gotten both. But here's Weaver's spit. Wow.
He almost collected his tail end of it. How close was that? Wow. I mean, I guess he was going for the kind of the cone knocking down record there, but great, great effort, and I'll give him points for style as well. This
More
is
cones.
Yeah, more cones. This is Jeff Hancock's making a move on White. I think White may have had a slowdown, or just didn't want to get involved. Looks like he's going for a nice Sunday stroll there in his car.
Yeah, this was back on lap 6, so he may have been just being conservative.
Well, Mark Zeff, of course, probably quickest or second quickest in the split, getting ahead. So probably the right thing to do. Ah, that was a car disappearing. Just suddenly, I think that was Sam, and he's reappeared behind Evan. So great transportation skills. This is Joe Barlow getting it wrong and into the tyre wall. Hopefully the car slowed down enough that it didn't damage him too much. Well under control by Darrell there to recognise the car was ahead was gonna.
Again, Weaver going around.
Yeah, not at the.
Oh no!
Lewis was like, if you can do that, I can do a little bit better. There's a lot going on. I guess the rear tyres have kind of picked up a little bit of heat from Weaver's perspective, but the Mercedes does have a lot of power on the rear, so that's easy to do. Dan Hill getting it completely. This is what happened to Dan. I really wondered what happened to him. At least he didn't hit anything, but that's a really strange way to go off the track.
Yeah, and he kept it going. He never stopped.
Yeah, it's going to give him a good run to the next corner, right?
Yeah,
that's one way to build up speed. But those tires are going to be seriously.
They're going to be warm.
Lewis going off-road again. Oh, he's taking a bit of his front as well. That car's going to feel a little bit lightweight.
Weight reduction tactics.
You could say that, yeah. Damon Mitchell's still hanging on to Don Parker here. Possibly even trying to make a move. Maxwell's dropped off a little bit. Line is... Well, he's got a little bit of a gap now to Parker as Walker's extended his lead to almost 8 seconds. So Damon Mitchell now makes a move on Parker and gets ahead. So he really got some pace around here.
And that camera shot just makes it look like those cars are going to hit the wall.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. You think they're just going to bounce back out. Concepcion setting his fastest time of the race so far, 2:09.
Ooh, someone's back facing the wrong way in the back there.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see who that is. Yeah, I think Dom just went and controlled the car to stop the off track. Yeah, you don't want to get too many off tracks in a 2-hour race. Yeah, sensible thing to do. Just Mark Zeff and Sam Stott. Sam again went slightly wide. Mark takes advantage of that. This is what happened between Sam and Jeff. Yeah, I guess it's if they've got a spotter active, they're not going to know until it's very, very late. Yeah. A bit of a 50-50 there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that happened fairly quickly too, so you could be right about the spotter thing, or I hadn't come across the radio just quite yet.
Yeah, definitely. This might be a good way for Dom to save some fuel if he can stick with Mitchell. No need to battle Mitchell. Obviously he's in a different split, but let's see how he fares. So, yeah, we'll see how Dom can catch up. And you've joined us back in the race at lap 14. This is Mark Zeff. He's caught up to the back of Stephen Maxwell, who has kind of dropped off the pace a little bit. But maybe he's on a different kind of strategy to the rest of the guys. But Mark is, yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. He's 14 seconds adrift of Mitchell in first place. But Never say never. Anything can happen over the next hour and a half or so.
Mitchell is having a drive today.
Yeah, absolutely. Really on the pace. I wonder if Maxwell's going to let Zaf through here. You don't want to be battling at this part of the track because it is midsection, which is quite slim pickings for places to overtake.
Oh, and sometimes you forget it. If you forget who you're battling, you're not entirely sure if they're in your split or not sometimes.
Yeah, that's true, especially for the newer guys who may not have been racing too long and don't know the names.
Sorry, I started to say my thought and then it kind of petered out on me and I had to recollect it. Maxwell goes a little wide there.
Yeah, that was a shame, but it gives Zef some clear air to get ahead as Line sets his fastest lap. It's a 2:08. Still, Ollie Walker, yeah, it looks like he's a league of his own at the moment.
And that lap, Line and Parker were only a 10th off.
Yeah, that's crazy. This man here, Damon Mitchell, is just on fire. Really consistent. And I think unless some incidents happen in the last couple of races of the season, it's going to be difficult to challenge him. I mean, Mark Jeff's really going to give it a good go, but yeah, I think the win might be on here for Damon today. And as we said, Dom might be happy to just sit behind him and just kind of be dragged along.
Yeah, why not? There's a large gap between him and Line, and there's a gap between him and Evan as well, so just keep an eye on the two gaps. Make sure you don't give too much to either one of those guys and safe fuel.
Yeah, we can't count out Evan. He's shown he's been very quick throughout the season, and I suspect with the North American contingent, he probably knows Sebring a lot better than kind of the European drivers, as it tends to be a staple track for the Americans. But yeah, we'll see as Mitchell getting a little bit sideways. That's going to give Don Parker the run, but let's see if he does make a move or not. Yeah, so he is happy to sit behind him. So I think Dom's got his tactics laid out for us. I don't blame him, because at 2-hour race you can save a little bit of fuel. It might just be that extra lap that you need to jump ahead of someone in the pits. As Concepcion has entered the pit lane. So, yeah, slightly earlier than anticipated, but we'll see what happens.
Barlow has seemed to have retired.
Yeah, so perhaps we did see him have that incident earlier on into the tyre barrier, so perhaps he's had another spin or just decided to call it a day. Nice camera angle here, showing Damon going through that hairpin.
Both White and Stott have their fastest laps of the race so far.
Yeah, so I can see that the track looks a little bit cloudy now. Lower fuel might be becoming optimal conditions for the cars at this stage of the race. And Evan back out in 5th position. We'll see how the traffic compares, because I suspect there's going to be at least 2 or 3 laps before the clubbers start pitting in. So Jake,
go ahead.
So Jake, you've obviously take care of the oval division, and as we've seen that 1 or 2 of the races have taken place already. How is it going so far, without giving too many spoilers, should we say?
Well, we've been having some difficulties on the tech side, so we might do some highlights for the first two videos, or the first two races that we had, just to get the viewers up to speed. But Daytona went pretty well. I'll say that Daytona went pretty well. A lot better than it has in the past, that's for sure.
That's good. Yeah, I do recall the last season did have quite a few yellows, but as we see, that was Damon Mitchell just jumping into the pits. Not much of a contest for him. Mr. Esports himself, Ollie Walker, we haven't seen too much of him. Stephen Maxwell making his, what I suspect is his scheduled pit stop. We'll see where he comes out in relation to Evan Concepcion. That was a quite a quick lap for White, actually. It's 2:01.9. So it's a decent lap for a Club 1500. Yeah, and it looks like Stotts came into the pits. Klotz as well, Hancock's. So it's a busy pit lane indeed at the Sebring International Raceway. Dan Hill coming in as well. See, I suspect Line Parker might be in next lap, but it has been known for Parker to somehow magically get an extra lap from somewhere.
It might be a good thing, but Klotz has had a quiet night tonight.
Yeah, he's been. I haven't seen him being involved in any incidents since he's joined. So he joined last race at Okayama, did fairly well actually there. Yeah, from speaking with him, he's used this just to kind of get used to the GT3 cars, and he's actually done pretty well so far. So interesting to see how he progresses. If this is just him starting out, he's definitely going to contend next season.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and look, he's done it again. Don Parker's somehow got an extra lap of fuel out. So he's with Line in the pits. Don Parker takes P1 for the time being.
I think it's the Ferrari. Because remember, Andres used to be able to go a lap or two more than everybody else, and he was in the Ferrari, wasn't he?
Yeah, you could be right there actually, Jake. So perhaps it's that combined with some type of skill. I know you could use to turn off the ignition, couldn't you? But I'm sure I read from the patch notes at some point that iRacing kind of disabled fuel saving from doing that.
They disabled it for that and pushing in the clutch, or clutching as the drivers call it, for these cars. I know it still works on the oval side.
Oh, that's interesting. So, Line, that was quite a long pit stop. He's got caught in a little bit of traffic there because that's Damon Mitchell's came out ahead of him. So, I wonder why that pit stop was quite long in length. We've got Zeph and White who are in the pits there. Zeph just coming out. And surely Parker will be coming in at the end of this lap. Weaver's managed to stay out as well. So Weaver might make a couple of positions as well.
I didn't catch the gap between Parker and Line before they started their pit cycles. Well, I'm interested to see how much Parker gains by staying out the extra lap.
Yeah, I think it was possibly around about 4 seconds or so. So that would be the acid test. As we see him downshifting, he's probably going to come into the pits now. So let's see what the story tells. Brakes very last minute, gets the limiter on. So we're pretty sure Ollie Walker is going to take the lead, but the question is what the gap between Parker and Line will be. Does it stop nicely?
And Walker was about 10 seconds ahead of Line before they started.
No change in tyres. That's interesting.
I mean, if the car feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Damien Mitchell and line coming down the home stretch. Where is
Parker's leaving.
Parker? He's leaving the pits. Oh, it's going to be mighty close. Wow. So that looks not even half a second difference. He's managed to gain like 3.5 seconds from that strategy. And come to think about it, he'll be happy to sit behind line because there's going to be another pit stop in due course.
Yeah, he'll be able to do the same.
Yep, rinse and repeat, I think, for Mr. Parker. Interestingly, Evan is also caught up by a couple of seconds. So, and he is quite quick, as we know. As we just see from the standings, Weaver now entering the pits.
And I'm looking at the interval between Walker and Line right now too. I wonder if Line had a problem on that last lap.
Yeah, I thought his pit stop was really long. So I'm not sure if he had any issues. No doubt Mr. Line will be happy to let us know in the Discord. But look at Damon Mitchell, up into second overall. It's a great effort for him. And that was Sam Stott down in 6th position. He's not too far behind Jeff Hancock's. But look at Darrell Klotz in 4th position. Great effort from him.
Yeah, that's moved a lot.
And we're back. This battle's between Jeff Hancock and Sam Stott, who we just seen a moment ago. Sam looking to move up to 5th position. He's got a run on the home stretch here, or sorry, the stretch up to the penultimate corner. We did see these two come together earlier on. Jeff Hancock's given a great deal of space.
I think it was that corner.
Yeah, it was. You're right, Jake. Didn't want to see a repeat of that. So Jeff cedes position to Sam. But I suspect this won't be the end of this battle. Whoa! Oh. Small misjudgment of speed. I wonder if Jeff just got caught up in the draft there. Just couldn't brake in time. We might see a replay of that incident. But Sam gets back up and running. Hopefully he hasn't picked up too much damage.
Well, I left a cone in the middle of the track in the process.
Yeah, there's a lot of cones around this track, isn't there?
Yeah.
We need to have like a cone count of how many are destroyed during the course of the race. David Lyon in 2nd position. It does look like Parker's just holding on. Damon Mitchell just breaking away. He's at 201.3. It's a great pace from him, considering that these guys are all on full tanks now. So this was the incident between Stott and Hancock's. Yeah, Sam desperate to get that inside line. Needs to brake as hard as possible to get it turned round.
Oh,
yeah, he's really pushing,
bobble.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I just misjudged the braking zone.
So, lap 27, and this is David Line and Dom Parker. Dom still sitting behind David Line. We kind of already sussed his tactic already, but we can see Evan Concepcion is caught up here. So he probably has been setting quicker lap times than Line and Parker, because I don't think they've been caught up in any traffic as such. So this is going to be a 3-way battle for 2nd and 3rd. You think the pressure's on Line now, knowing that he's got two cars behind him?
I don't know. He's usually collected and level-headed, so I don't think it's bothering them too much. I would rather be lined than parked right now, though. Being the car in the middle, you have to worry about two factors.
Yeah.
Staying behind the guy in front of you without giving up too much to the guy behind you.
Yeah, that's true. Looking in all directions, as this is Jeff Hancock's. I think that was Dan Hill just getting slightly wide in one of the corners. He's going to go defensive into this hairpin. Quite similar liveries here. But holds on to 4th position. Dan Hill's been pretty dependable. Fairly unlucky at times as well. Jeff Hancock dives to the inside. Is he going to get the anchors down? He does. He managed to keep the position. But is Dan Hill going to get the run or not? Doesn't look like it. He thought about it, didn't he?
He thought about it.
Yeah, it's nice competitive racing from those two. Nice and clean. Mark Zeff in the pits. Looks like he's taking a tyre change. Not sure if that's scheduled. That's White just sitting on the edge of the track, enjoying the view. I think he must have had an incident.
I was going to say, I think the first stop was around the half-hour mark, so it might be scheduled.
Quite possibly. He's coming out of the pits now. Maybe he knows he's got such a gap that he can afford to kind of come in as he pleases. Yeah, these 3 cars are really starting to close up. It's going to be a nice little battle as we go over the hour mark. Concepcion does look like he's probably the quickest out of those lot, but we know that Dom's got an alternative tactic in place. So he might, you never know, he might let Evan go past, or will he be content to just kind of slow him down? In fact, just took a wide line. He might just try and let Evan go past and let them battle. Oh, Dom's getting really close there.
To me, it kind of looked like Line was going defensive, and Concepcion took advantage of that and picked up his toe.
Yeah, definitely, and you can see Evans now moved up as a result of that. But is he going to battle with Line, and is Line going to defend? That's the question. Dom will be happy to see these guys battle. It's more time into his hands. In fact, Damon Mitchell isn't too far up the road as well, so it might become a 4-car battle, although Damon obviously isn't in that split, as we see him just in the foreground there. I think this is going to play into Dom's hands here if those two keep battling.
They seem to be pulling on him a little bit. I don't know if he's saving extra or...
Yeah, dropped to 8/10 or so. Maybe just giving them space just in case there's any incident between them.
That could be.
So, oh, that's right on Line's bumper. Evan is making his intentions clear. Line, yeah, I think Line really wants to defend us at the moment. Is Evan going to get a run coming out of the tower? Yeah, he's gonna just not going to be enough, I think. Let's see, he's going to make a late lunge into Sunset Band. He does. Or is Line going to get the cut back? Oh, it's going to be close. Evan braked a little bit.
Line exited quite shallow there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't try to gather the pace in the wider exit. Dom's right behind him as well, so he's not playing around. That's interesting. That's Dom's now It's almost like pushing Line to kind of battle with Evan, isn't he?
Yeah.
White has entered the pits. And that's Jeff Hancock's off. That's an incident happened with him. Would be surprised if it's a trip through the pits for Jeff if that was quite a heavy crash. Line just blinking a little bit there. Must be his. He must be connected to his phone internet.
Another driver we haven't seen too much of is McKinnon.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much, but sometimes you just need those quiet races, don't you? Just let everyone get involved in incidents and you just work your way up. Yeah, Klotz as well. Klotz sitting in 5th position. That is quite a respectable showing from him. Especially in these races, you don't need to be the fastest. You need to just have consistent laps and just stay out of trouble.
Right.
Which is easier said than done, isn't it?
Yeah. You get caught up in the moment and you can see the opportunity in front of you, or you want to try to close the gap up to the guy ahead of you, so you start pushing a little harder, and mistakes happen.
Yeah, as we've seen Concepcion enter the pits. And that's Jeff Hancock's taking a pit stop as well, probably to repair some damage.
Overdrove his pit box a little.
We see that in the Euro division as well, don't we? It's quite, those next gen cars are
They're hard to stop.
Yeah, definitely. So it's race on goes with David Line and Don Parker. Maxwell setting his fast lap. It's a 2 minutes dead actually, so 0.4 or 0.6. But I think Maxwell, it's going to be interesting if he's on an alternative strategy compared to the others. As Concepcion now comes out of the pits, his teammate, obviously teammates Maxwell and Concepcion, will they work together if they're close come the end of the race? That would be, we'll see, no doubt, in half an hour's time or so. Zeph sent a great lap for Club 1500.
And Parker made that move on line look pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm surprised he kind of got past that. Given that we've seen he was defending quite well from Concepcion, but
Line's been defending a lot, I think, since the race started, so he might want a break.
Yeah, maybe he just got tired of it and said, there you go, you can have it. It's all yours. So that looks like White has dropped out of the race. That's moved a few people up. So McManaman now up to 7th. Weaver in 8th.
It gets me every time.
Yeah, I think it doesn't help with the bumps in the track as well, as we see Damon Mitchell come in from the lead for another pit stop. Be interesting to see if Dom can kind of break the draft from Line, or the Line was pushing really into that second corner. Apart from that, the rest of the field have kind of split out a little bit now. To be expected, I guess, over the length of this race, but let's see how the pit stops shake out, and potentially if anyone gets any drive-throughs from obviously off tracks and things.
Yeah, and you were talking about pit stops too. I was about to say that, but we are kind of in a pit cycle, or half the field is pitted, the other half hasn't, so I'm sure some of these gaps will close back up.
Yeah, for sure. On board David Line then. Maintaining that gap at half a second or so. He definitely doesn't look like he's pushing too much. think he was keeping it comfortable. This corner, I'm not a big fan of. It is difficult in this car to kind of...
It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it does. And it's just difficult. If you overshoot it, you're in trouble. I mean, you really have to brake the car.
And it's kind of an illusion. You almost feel like you can go through it faster than you actually can.
Yeah, and you take too much, and then it's an off track and a slowdown. As we've seen, Jeff Hancock's was off the track there, and he returns to the pits.
Towed.
Yeah. So we'll see if he comes back out. Yeah, similar lap times between Parker and Line. Not too much to separate between them. Ollie Walker 24 seconds out in front.
That's... I don't even know. Just smooth operator.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he had been racing in the 12 hours of Sebring. Then you just carry a lot of confidence going around the track, having done it so often. Stephen Maxwell has his scheduled stop. Yeah, this is what happened to White earlier on. This corner just came up on him too quick. Tried to brake, oversteered into the wall. I think he was unaware of his surroundings here because he thought he was on the track and just tried to reverse out the way of the oncoming cars. But yeah, too much pace going into that corner. This is onboard downhill. He almost got swiped by a reversing White.
That's the corner we were just talking about too.
Yeah, it's actually quite a blind corner as well, isn't it? Oh, and that was Dan Hill taking advantage of someone going wide. That's Evan behind Parker. And this is where he kind of made his move, wasn't it? Flash of the lights from Dom, knowing that's kind of telling Evan go ahead. Yeah, this is Jeff Hancock's taking an alternative route.
Pro 4 might be better for that kind of route.
Yeah, and this was... Yeah, maybe Line just went slightly deep into that.
Ooh.
Dom just taking advantage of it. Yeah, he just... About 5 miles an hour too quick into that corner, and it's put him out of line.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as it appears that we've got Klotz coming out of the pits. Sam Stott was there as well just a moment ago. So it's quite close between those two. In fact, there is Stott. He's off the track as well. So something must have happened to him. It's Damon Mitchell going past with Evan Concepcion. That's going to be interesting because Evan's now just alongside Concepcion, and Mitchell was alongside Evan, and Mitchell was a couple of seconds ahead of Parker in line. So once these two have their pit stops, it's going to have a great race on our hands. Whoa, Line taking advantage of that curb there, making the car jump. There's Ollie Walker back into the pits, and that's looks like Lewis McManaman having his tyres changed by his pit crew. Yeah, Evans right behind Mitchell now. As the Line has entered the pits.
And Parker stayed out.
Yeah, so again, we're going to soon find out what kind of difference these pit stops make. fairly long stop from McManaman, but of course he was getting his tyres changed. Be interesting if any of the top split guys now opt to get the tyres, or will they kind of hold out until the next one? I know you can just about do 3 stints without it kind of being too detrimental, but it might be a little bit uncomfortable as we see Evan going ahead of line, so that really has worked out for him. That's a huge gap, 7, almost 8 seconds. So there's a great comeback from Evan. Maxwell getting faster and faster, 2 minutes 0.3. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts dropping into the 159s sooner or later. Will Evan be happy just to sit behind Mitchell here? Or will he try and push ahead knowing that he's got Dom Parker, who's maybe there or thereabouts in a similar position as him?
Yeah, but given Mitchell's pace today, it wouldn't be a bad idea to follow.
Yeah, just save some fuel and keep at a similar race pace as what he has been doing. Parker's out into another lap. He's gone around again, so that's like almost 2 laps he's managed to kind of save from that stint.
We've seen 1 lap extra saved him some time. You think 2 laps is too much? You think after the 2nd lap you're losing time now that the other cars are warmed up?
I think as long as he's got some free air, no traffic, I think he might be okay. We'll soon find out because he surely has to drop in this lap. As Weaver was setting his fastest lap. That was a 2:03. It's pretty much what the other guys in the mid pack of the top 1500 are setting at the moment. Doesn't look like Evan is particularly keen to overtake. He's not even making his intention to go down the inside, so I think he is. It does look like he is quite happy at the moment. Just noticing actually, Weaver's still only got 1 stop, and Parker. Perhaps they have got some type of technique they're using to keep some fuel in the car.
It must be.
I just noticed Joe Barlow's came back out on track, so mechanics have been really busy in his pit stall. Albeit he's about 9 laps down or so. He can get ahead of White and Hancock's, who are out respectively. And I wonder if Evan's now going to make a move. He might get a better run here. Oh, he's went a little bit wide.
That's always scary when you're just touching the grass.
Yeah, you never know which way the car's going to go. As we see Don Parker was being serviced by his pit crew. Ollie Walker goes ahead as expected, but this is going to be interesting to see if Evan and Mitchell come out ahead of Parker or not. It is going to be fairly close, I suspect. There's Parker. So he's going to lose a little bit of time there, but let's see the difference between Lyon and Parker as well. So Parker's gained roughly about 3 seconds from Lyon, but Concepcion, I guess he must have had a lot of quick laps in between his pit stop and, well, the previous one. So That's Mitchell being very gentlemanly like and letting Evan go past. He obliges, yeah.
Say, Concepcion had a couple laps of open track, I think, where Parker and Ryan were still together.
Yeah, and I think you're right. That probably would have cost him a lot of time as well. As we see a replay of Jeff Hancock's. Oh, it's almost the same corner. It is the same corner where he got it wrong last time. I think he might have had enough. Yeah.
An hour in. We'll stop.
Yeah, Stott oversteered. He's managed to keep it out of the barrier pretty much. This is Damon Mitchell. I guess this was him letting Evan Concepcion past. Good thing to do there. So, you join us in lap 42. We're approximately 3/4 of the way through the race now. This is Stephen Maxwell in 5th position in the top split. He's got a little way to go up to David Lyon, about 14 seconds or so. We'll be hoping Lyon and Parker start battling as that gap has dropped a little bit. The car ahead of Maxwell is Mark Zeff, who is in 2nd in the Club 1500. It seems to be a little bit of no man's land. He's got 21 seconds all the way to Damon Mitchell, and this 1 minute 27 to Dan Hill, who's in 3rd place. So yeah, I think that position's fairly cemented.
Mistakes pending.
Yeah, that's right. Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What's that? Klotz and McKinnon are both up 4 today for their split.
Yeah, so that shows you don't need to be the quickest. Definitely don't need to be the quickest in these endurance races. Just keep it pointing in the right direction and you make it places, no doubt.
I keep saying McKinnon, it's not McKinnon. I got that name stuck in my head from previous seasons, but...
Lewis McManaman, I think. Yeah, isn't it? Lewis McManaman in the Merc. Interestingly, Lewis did have a couple of incidents, so if he managed to get those kind of cleaned up in future races, he's definitely going to be aiming for the podium positions potentially. And as we said before about Darrell Klotz, it's only his 2nd race or so, doing really well. Gap between Walker and Concepcion, interestingly, is now down to 18 seconds. So about 6 seconds lost between that gap as Ollie Walker sits 2 minutes 0.8 or so in that last lap. But I suspect Ollie isn't pushing too much. Now, and I wouldn't blame him.
No, an hour and a half in, 30 minutes to go. You got some room to drive safely. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. Likewise, Damon Mitchell, 2 minute 0.9, which is actually fast for that split, but for him it's kind of a standard one. As we see,
was that Zeff?
It was Zeff. Yeah, getting a little bit wrong coming up Sunset Bend. Out of the wall, which is the main thing, so hopefully we're not cursing him too much. Probably going to see the next pit stops happen in the next couple of laps or so. It takes the drivers to the end of the race. So the standings at the moment are in the top split: Walker, Concepcion, Parker, Lyon and Maxwell. As we see what happened to Zephyr. Yeah, just a little bit too much speed coming into that bend. Managed to avoid Maxwell. That can be pretty annoying because now he's in a position he knows his rear tyres are going to be absolutely shredded.
That was a long slide too.
Yeah. As we see, a sped up version of Mark Zeff going around into the pits. That was the quickest car I've ever seen go around Sebring.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if he'll change his tyres on this one. Perhaps, knowing that
I would.
Yeah, just to be safe.
Even if he did last. Yeah. Even if he changed them last stint, I probably still would.
Yeah, absolutely. There's Ollie Walker. Nice Sunday drive. That gap's now coming down to 16 seconds or so. So it's came down quite substantially. So you don't want to be driving too cautiously. You might invite Evan back in for a last minute fight at the end. Speaking of Evan, there he is. And that's Zeff just coming out of the pit lane. That will be him until the end of the race on fuel. That's Dan Hill there, moving out the way.
You know, as long as Evan doesn't see that he's closing up the gap this much and get too excited, as he's making a pit stop himself.
Yeah. He has been making early pit stops, but that's Damon Mitchell coming in as well.
This should be the final round of stops for everybody.
Yep. I think Evan's kind of calculated these stops quite well. He's kind of maintained the kind of average across all the stops rather than having to wait too long for two of the stops. So I think that's his tactic. Obviously, Line, not sure. I don't think he's much of a fuel saver from what he's told me. So he just goes with the flow. Whereas Dom, he's been known to fuel save. Again, that gap is down to 1.2 between Parker and Line, as Evan now leaves the pit lane, as well as Damon Mitchell. So that's them until the end. Yeah, David Line just catching up to Parker. Parker probably wants to start pushing on a little bit now, I think. Yeah, Line just getting into that under the 1 second gap. Whoa, and that's Sam Stott dragging part of his front of his car onto the track as well. I suspect that will be a trip to the pit lane and possibly lengthy repairs if he's already taken his quick repair. We'll soon find out. Yeah, so Line's really starting to put the pressure on Parker here.
Oh, grass.
Yeah. That's one thing. Apart from rain, I want to see iRacing kind of make the grass a little bit more realistic rather than kind of the ice effect it seems to have.
It's not bad as long as you're coasting. It's when you get on the brakes.
True. And you rejoin us in lap 51. Nice view of the circuit there. Just under 20 minutes to go. Ollie Walker well out in front ahead of Dom Parker, so that's a 32 second gap. David Line is 3 seconds behind him, and Evan, who's took his pit stop, so he can crack on as we see David Line now come in for his third and final stop. Does look like Walker and Parker have got some extra fuel in the tank to go ahead for at least one more lap. That sounded like he's very low on fuel there.
It did.
I wonder if that will affect the gap when Dom comes out from his pit stop. And in fact, Jake Weaver's in the pits as well. Quite a few people there. Dan Hill, Darrell Klotz, Lewis McManaman, all in. As Evan goes past, that promotes him to third for the time being. Yeah, so that's interesting. That's going to give quite a healthy lead to him, and it could be a net position of second. Steve Maxwell just going past the start finish straight. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch up to line. Still 15 minutes or so.
And the gap from third to fourth is increased.
Yeah, that's 14 seconds. That's quite a gap. Let's see what Don Parker can do though. As we see Ollie Walker enter the pit lane. I wonder if Weaver has had an incident. He seems to have been in there for a little while, as well as Lewis McManaman. Might be receiving some repairs. So
Stop is showing out.
Yeah, so he might have retired his car. Might have seen how long the repairs would have been. Don Parker comes out ahead of Ollie Walker, albeit it will be for just one lap or so. Such is the length of the lead Ollie has overall.
And if I'm Dom, I think I go fuel only here.
Yeah, gotta risk it for the chocolate biscuit, as they say. Nothing to lose. You're only going to have, what, maybe 7 laps or so, if that. So the positions so far in the Club 1500 split: Mitchell out in front ahead of Zeph, and Hill is in third position. Darrell Klotz, Lewis McManaman, Sam Stott, Jake Weaver, Jeff Hancock, Chris White, Joe Barlow round out the top 10 in that split, whereas most of them have taken all their stops or have retired. We've got Don Parker, who we see on screen now, should be coming in for a stop at the end of this lap, and then that will shake out everyone. Damon Mitchell, has been a pretty boring race from his perspective, really. No one challenged him. We thought Mark Zeph was going to be there, but that lap 1 incident where he just got it on the curb kind of ended that hope.
I'd say it may be boring for a split, but he's been competing with the top split guys tonight.
Yeah, in fact, that's a valid point, because I think we might see him reach into the top split next season. Dom's going around again, so again, that's 2 laps extra fuel. That's incredible. It must be due to the car. It must just hold more fuel than the others. But that's going to, hopefully he hasn't got too much traffic now, and looking at the track map, he doesn't seem to have any traffic ahead of him, so he can really just push on for this final lap. He hasn't got Ollie to pester him, a couple of seconds behind or so. But Concepcion's setting a fairly fast lap, it's 2:05. Maxwell's, it's going to be, I think it's too little too late for Maxwell. He's a few seconds behind Line. Line's got set at 1.069. But Maxwell's about half a second quicker. Yeah, not going to be enough, I think, for him.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I was hopeful for Maxwell. He was looking fairly quick at the start, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Parker
should be coming in.
Yeah. Wonder if Ollie will flash his lights at him. Ollie's has been known to flash lights at people. Try and put them off, maybe. Great drive from Ollie as well. I think it's very easy to just accept that he's going to win, but when he's consistently putting in solid lap times, keeps the car in control
for this long.
Yeah, definitely. So this is going to be interesting to see where Dom comes out. Champion-elect, possibly. Ollie Walker takes first position. Evan does still have a chance to kind of match him in the championship, but it's going to be a tough ask. Now, speaking of Evan, here he is. Where is Parker going to come out in relation to Concepcion here?
Parker's leaving now.
Oh, this is going to be very close. In fact, Parker might get ahead here.
He does.
Wow. So I think those two laps really did count. 1.5, 1.4 is coming down a little bit, but yeah. Line was definitely the loser out of that. Let's see if Evan will definitely have more confidence, I think. And maybe the slightly quicker of the two, but Dom's got the track position and he's only got 10 minutes to hold on. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do it.
I wasn't paying attention either. I don't know if Concepcion took tires or not on his last stop.
Yeah, I didn't see, but you would think if he took his pit stop with about 30 minutes to go, possibly it would have been worthwhile if he hadn't taken any previously. And we think Dom obviously just was a
fuel only with a 12-second stop.
Yeah. Yes, Evan is showing as the quicker of the two overall at the moment. Yeah, you can see Dom really pushing, bring up the dirt on that corner. The gap is dropping. Solid drive from Parker regardless, because he's went up 3 positions. Dark Clock's up 5 positions now.
And that's just simply surviving.
Yeah.
For Klotz.
Yeah, great effort. So there's going to be roughly 4 laps or so left.
That might be something that Klotz has picked up over in the Oval Series, is when you're trying to get your licenses, the dreaded ARCA series for iRacing is messy. You tend to learn to pick your battles and prepare to avoid an accident. So,
yeah, and I guess that's what league racing is about as well, is picking and choosing your battles.
Especially since you got to race with these guys next week.
Absolutely. But I think that the standard of racing in this league is actually really good, and people have respect for each other. And that's across all disciplines, whether it be the open wheel GT3s and even in the ovals as well, where of course we know it can be quite easy to come into contact with other cars. Concepcion braking really late, try and gather up as much of that gap as possible. Parker better have his defensive boots on. So
Parker got a better run out of that one.
Yeah, just this I think the most crucial part of the track is coming up here. Get the line right. You're gonna have the momentum to hold on for the rest of the lap.
Got momentum on the outside.
Yeah, this might give Evan some momentum. Dom goes to the inside, tries to take it as long as possible.
Doesn't overdrive the corner either, so that was a good transition.
Yeah. Evan getting very close. Managed to get the brakes down just in time. McManaman back in the pits, but will Evan look to go around the outside? It's going to be close. I think Dom is going to use the experience here, parks it on the apex. Nothing Evan can do. Yeah, this is a battle of who's going to blink first and make an error, because I think if Evan makes an error, it's going to allow a bit of breathing space for Dom for the next lap, 2 laps. But we know Evan's going to capitalise on any foot that goes wrong from Parker. Parker's making all the right moves here.
Yeah, and well, Evan can run the traditional line where Parker's got to run defensively.
Could compromise an exit speed here. Dom's done really well out of this corner, actually, considering it wasn't the widest of lines. Yeah, just holding that inside line as long as possible. Forces Evan to the outside. We'll have to brake slightly to avoid going into the wall. This is kind of letting Damon Mitchell come back into the fold. I'm sure he doesn't want to get caught up in it, but won't be good news for Evan if he sees another. It might be a little bit of a distraction seeing another car in the background.
Yeah, I'm just so caught up into this battle.
Yeah, it's kind of mesmerizing. You know that Dom just he's got caught on the rear end there. And he's crabbing as well. No way. After an hour 56 minutes, Dom Parker will have to tow back to the pits. And Evan, I can see that he's probably just misjudged the speed. He did feel a little bit guilty because he did stop, which is in his credit, but heartbreaking for Parker there. He's doing really well. He did all the right moves, parked it on the apex, and just kind of a mix-up ended his race in that manner.
Seems to be the unfortunate event of the race.
Yeah, definitely. We need to start having a sponsor of those, I think, for this league. There's David Lyons, but David Lyon, yeah, he's probably not going to catch up to Evan, even though Evan did slow down. Maxwell's kind of caught up slightly. This is that Darryl Klutz, possibly. There's Ollie Walker, still just going about his business as we expect him to. Yeah, this is the replay everyone wants to see. What happened here? Just
Parker didn't get going.
Yeah, I guess that's definitely a 50-50. Parker's got that defensive line. He's going to be kind of slower on exit speed, and that's a kind of pinch point of the track as well. There's only kind of one route to go through there. Yeah, just that's really unfortunate there. I think really unfortunate in the fact that the car is crabbing.
Yeah, that wasn't that hard of an impact.
Yeah. This is going to be a good angle. And it's difficult to judge. Back to racing. This is Damon Mitchell. What a drive from him today.
P2 overall.
Yeah, that really shows his title credentials for the Club 1500 this season. You know, a couple of improvements to his race, and he'll be contending with the top split guys as well, for sure. But someone who needs no introduction, Ollie Walker, probably on his white flag lap, possibly. Really has been having a solid season. It's going to be really difficult to find someone who can challenge him on a regular basis. I mean, we've got Evan. I can't see anyone else really.
He's improved so much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Early in the GT3 series history, it was always David Line was the guy to beat.
Yeah. Yeah, I suspect with joining an esports team, it's definitely helped getting some coaching and regular races with people who are in that competitive field.
Yeah.
And it's great to see guys like Ollie who can really push on and fulfill the potential. It's great that other drivers can kind of learn from that as well. Damon Mitchell set a great lap there. I just spotted, I think, a 2-minute .4. That was the fastest lap of the race for the Club 1500 split so far. It was an incredible lap. There's Evan in second place in top split with David Line just behind. That gap has closed down a little bit by about a second. So here's Ollie Walker just behind Lewis McManaman. Yeah, solid race from Ollie as he takes the checker flag at our 2-hour endurance race at Sebring. Well done, Ollie. Great effort and congratulations for the win. We look forward to seeing what you can do in the next final 2 races of the season.
Yeah, Red Bull Ring next, yes?
Yeah, Red Bull. So back to Europe. Common course in the league, so I think a lot of drivers will know it. Ollie might be pretty good at that one as well, I suspect, as he does his standard donuts in the Lambo. Jake Weaver getting a respectable 6th position. Damon Mitchell, congratulations Damon. Almost a perfect race from him as well. Takes 1st position in Club 1500. Evan Concepcion takes 2nd ahead of David Line in 3rd for the top split. And we'll just see in the background Stephen Maxwell takes 4th ahead of Don Parker, who will be in the pits from that unfortunate incident. I suspect a lot of these drivers will be glad to see the end of Sebring. Rather grey track if they've competed with both.
Especially if they just saw it for 12 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's Mark Zeff. Good result for him in 2nd. He's still up there. That's a good recovery drive from him. Darrell Klotz, what a race from him. 4th position.
Strong finish.
Yeah, look, I'm going to look forward to seeing what he can produce next season. And in fact, the final 2 races if he joins us. Dan Hill, final podium position. Again, another solid race from him actually. He's been pretty dependable. So well done to him.
Well done to everybody.
Yeah. I enjoyed that race. There was lots going on compared to our other endurance race of the season. I enjoyed that a lot better. So, that rounds things up at Sebring. We're just going to see the standings. So Ollie Walker took the win ahead of Evan Concepcion, David Line Stephen Maxwell and Don Parker. Damon Mitchell took the win for the Club 1500 ahead of Mark Zeff, Dan Hill, Darrell Klutz, Lewis McManaman, Jake Weaver, Sam Stott, Jeff Hancox, Chris White, Joe Barlow and James Pepper. Yeah, you can see the time difference there for Ollie Walker. Really in a league of his own today. I would have liked to have seen how close it would have been between Evan and Ollie should Evan not have had that incident early on.
Yeah, I think it had the potential to be a close battle.
Yeah, definitely. You can just see Ollie Walker's helmet in the background there. Yeah. Ollie Walker out in front of 248 points, but it's still not over. Evan Concepcion's on 225 points, so it's still, with a couple of races left to go, still achievable for Evan. But you know, if Ollie can get the win, it might put it out of contention. Our mathematicians might be able to confirm that. David Lyon in third, followed by Stephen Maxwell, Don Parker. So it does look like those 5 regulars have cemented the top 5 positions for that split this season. Hopefully we'll have some of the familiar names return, like Dan Shaw, Rob Miller, even Michael Messenger. He's started to appear in the open wheelers again, which is great to see. Not to mention Steve Greening, he should be around sometime. And the championship standings for the clubbers: Damon Mitchell out ahead in 256 points ahead of Mark Zeff, 237. So still not a title holder there for Damon Mitchell, but yeah, you want to say if he can get another win under his belt, that might seal the fate. Dan Hill in third ahead of Simon Garrell, Chris White, Steve Pepper, Rich Meisters, Stu Gerber, Joe Barlow and Lewis McManaman. Rounding out the top 10, Darrell Klutz making a couple of positions up today. And in 12th, Jake Weaver also on 30 points there as well, who we've seen race. And Sam Stott making his return to GT3s now in 16th, ahead of Jeff Hancox in 17th, who we've seen. What did you make of that race then, Jake, overall?
Lots of action. There was always something to look at, that's for sure.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint as we see the championship standings. Is 4X Racing on 380 points ahead of Alpha Esports 248, the A team on 226. So yeah, the A team are dependent on Line and of course Rob Miller needing to return really to kind of overtake Alpha Esports, but it will be those top 3 who take the podium positions in the kind of Constructors Championship.
Thanks for inviting me to the booth today.
Hey, pleasure to have you on board, and great to have your experience of the track, because I certainly don't know it. And the championship standings for the clubbers, it is pretty close between DSR Orange and DSR White, 322 points and 303 points respectively. So yeah, absolutely everything to go for those two teams still. 722 Motorsports, 222 points. I don't count them out just yet, because Joe Barlow's still around, and Dan Hill, yeah, I think they've still got some good positions in them. So yeah, those 3 teams definitely have got the top 3 cemented there. Yeah, perfect ending there, and really happy to have you on board, stepping in for Random Dave. Jake's great to have you, and yeah, I think we'll look forward to hearing your commentary on the Oval Division. We'll see some races there, no doubt, on the channel pretty soon, so we'll keep an eye out for yourself and Jason.
Yeah, we should be back up and running here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to watching those races, and yeah, great commentary team for the Oval as well. I really enjoy the broadcasts there, as I'm sure others do as well. So that rounds out our race at Sebring. Next time you will be over in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, or Österreich if Gavin likes it to call it. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Jake.
Yes, goodbye.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching.